Okay, so today we are solving literal equations. So you should have out your composition book and open your digital interactive notebook to, let's see, what slide will we be working with? Oh, here it is. 31, 32. Okay. So 31, 32. Okay, so any variable that contains more than one variable can be solved for any of the variables. Solving for a variable means to isolate that variable on one side of the equal sign. For example, we have d equals rt, distance equals rate times time. It can be solved for rate by doing d divided by t, or time by doing d divided by r. Solving for a particular variable is helpful in math and science because that variable might represent the information that is needed. So basically, we're manipulating equations to have it solve for one of the variables. Okay, so let's look at our examples. Let's look at this instruction first. Solving literal equations is just like solving regular equations. Variables can be moved from one side to the other, just like numbers are moved. The only difference is that since numbers are being used, there will be no simplification. So we have this first one, y equals 5x plus 7. So if I want to solve it for x, that means I need to move everything to the other side except for the x. So in this case, I would take this plus 7, subtract 7 both sides. And then that simplifies to y minus 7 equals 5x. And then we would need to divide by 5 on both sides. So we are going to solve several equations for different variables. So let's look at number 1. So this is slide 32. So I'm going to show you my composition book in a second. C equals 2 pi radius. Okay, so this is what my composition book looks like right now. And this says we are solving for R. Yeah, this is the formula for circumference. So what I like to do is I like to highlight the variable that I'm solving for. So I'm solving for R. So I need to move everything to the other side except for the R. Okay, so draw your line down your equal sign. I need to get R by itself. So what's keeping R from being by itself? 2 and pi. What operation is happening between 2, pi, and R? Multiply. So what's the opposite of multiply? And I can divide by both of them at the same time. So we're going to leave pi just like it is. So what happens when we have 2 pi over 2 pi? Equals 1. So what we're left with is C over 2 pi equals R. And that is our answer. There's no simplification. We can't simplify anything. C is a variable. Pi written as the symbol is the most simplified it can get. Okay, so let's look. So let's type here. Oh, we need to do the math, don't we? Do y'all remember Equatio? That extension up at the top, click on Equatio. So we can type this in. as C divided by, oh, I need to do an uppercase C. C divided by 2, how do I do pi? Oh, if you type in pi, you can change that. Then arrow over equals r. Could I actually write it as r equals? That's actually the way I want to write it. So r equals C over pi. C over 2 pi. I'm going to delete that type here. We're able to do it here. Okay, so let's go to number 2. Is it V equals BH?
BH equals 6. Wait, what?
That's a V.
That's a V.
What is it? It's a V.
Oh, BH equals V or V equals BH. Either one.
That's a 6.
It's a BH. No, it's a. So this is the formula for volume, and we're solving for H. So let's highlight H or circle H.
Mine's taking forever. Like it's still in that one.
Close it out. Close out your digital interactive notebook if it gets stuck, and then reopen it. I don't know why it does that sometimes. Okay, so if we're solving for H, what's keeping H from being by itself?
B.
And this is a multiply. So what's the opposite? Divided by B. So the B's will cancel. We're left with V over B equals H. Okay, so we are recording again. So we can put in, I'm going to delete this. And that would be V over B equals H. Okay, let's look at the next one. Go ahead and write down number 3. And it is P equals 2L plus 2W. And circle the W or highlight it. P is perimeter.
Forgot.
So 2 times length plus 2 times width.
I have not done that like this.
That's okay. All right, we're solving for W. So what do we need to move to the other side first?
2L.
2L. So what operation is happening over here with 2L and 2W? Well, 2 times L is a term. Addition, so we need to subtract it. So we're left with P minus 2L equals 2W. And we're still trying to find W by itself. So what's keeping W from being by itself? Multiplication by 2. So what's the opposite? Divided by 2. So you put it underneath the whole term over here. So this would actually like be in parentheses. The 2W over 2 would just make W. So it's P minus 2L over 2 equals W. We can leave it just like that. Or we could simplify it as each numerator over the denominator. So it'd be P over 2 minus 2L over 2. Because you can separate numerators like that if they have like denominators. And then there's one more thing we could do. This 2 over 2 makes 1. So we could rewrite this as P over 2 minus L equals W. So either this one or this one, it could be our answer. Okay, so we need to type these in. So what I would do is, I want to say W equals though. W equals, put parentheses, P minus 2L, close parentheses, then divided by 2. That's the only way to get that whole expression, P minus 2L, on top. And if you want to take off the parentheses after that, you can. And I'm going to type or W equals, was it P over 2 minus L. You can type in either way, or both ways, really. And delete that type here. Make this box a little bigger so I can make this bigger. There we go. Okay, the last one, number 4, is A equals half BH. On this one, what is this a formula for?
Or no, area.
Area of what? A what?
3D figure.
Triangle. Triangle. So it's area of a triangle. So that's why it's half BH. And what are we solving for? I didn't look.
No, B.
B. Okay. Okay, so I need to get B by itself. So what's keeping B from being by itself? This multiply by 1/2. So what's the opposite of multiplying by 1/2? Dividing by 1/2. Or do y'all remember reciprocal?
Yeah.
We need to multiply by 2/1 on both sides. So remember that word, reciprocal, to get rid of fractions. Okay, so then that leaves us over here with 2A equals BH. So now I'm still trying to get B by itself. So what's keeping B from being by itself?
H.
So how do I get rid of H? Divide by H. So that's 2A over H equals B. Or I should really write it as B equals 2A over H. So I just flipped it around so it says B equals instead of the other way. B equals, so do parentheses 2A divided by H. And then you can go back and delete the parentheses.
I think we're gonna bring it to like short word. Can we just make the equation like insert that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so on this one, I'm not having you take a picture of your work. I just want you to go ahead and just write it in there. Okay, so we are done with our digital interactive notebook now. But you can keep it open and go to the assignment for today. It says complete the literal equations worksheet. I have it on paper for in-class people. And then I have it on the computer if you'd like that. But let's go ahead and look at it. Okay, it says solve each equation below for the indicated variable. Show your work in the second column, then circle your solution and color the design below. So that is page 1. Then it gives you a blank page that says insert a picture of your work. And then the third page, this is 100% just solving. I need to write that on there. Solve for y. So you're going to solve for y on every single one of these. And then you will have a answer to this. What did the abacus say when asked if he could help out at the school carnival? So I'm going to get my worksheet and I'm going to look at a few of these with y'all just as a reminder. I guess I should talk. The front page is like the examples that I had. Let's look at number 4 though. It says solve for r. So a equals pi radius squared. So draw your line. And we're solving for r. So if you want to highlight it or circle it or something, you can. So how do I get r by itself? What do I need to do first? What do I need to get rid of first? The pi. Pi is being multiplied. So I divide by pi. Is that big enough? Okay. And so that cancels and we have area over pi equals radius squared. So remember, we're always doing inverse operations to get it by itself. So what would be the inverse of r squared? Square root. Square root and squareds are inverses, so they cancel each other out. Yeah. So then that leaves, so you can mark out the square root and the square, and you're left with r equals square root of a over pi.
Isn't radius squared the diameter?
No, 2 times radius is diameter. Okay, so that means that this is our answer. And so on all the 4s, if you want to color this, you can. If you don't, that's fine. But on all the 4s, it'll be red. It's kind of fuzzy, but it might look better on the Google slide. I'm not sure. Okay, let's look at the back. We're solving each equation for y. So let's go to number 7. Okay, so I want to solve it for y. So what do I need to do first? Do what? Yeah, so I got to add 6x. So those cancel. I get 3y equals 6x plus 15. And then what do I do? I divide by 3 on every single term. So I divide by 3 here, divide by 3 here. And so 3 over 3 makes 1, so I'm left with y equals 6 over 3, 2x, plus 15 over 3, 5. Put a box around your answer so I can find it. If this is not enough room for you, that's fine. Write it in your journal and take a picture of it. Or on a sheet of paper. Fine with that. So I need to go and look at 2x plus 5 over here. And it is right here. So that's N. So I'm going to put N on number 7, and then I'm going to go down to the bottom where I see 7. I do N. Okay, y'all get the idea of it? Okay. All right, so y'all have the rest of the class period to work on this. Okay, so go ahead and get busy.
So we're allowed to do it on notebook paper and staple it to it?
Yes, you're allowed to do it on notebook paper. Do not tear anything out of your composition book. If you need notebook paper, I have some in this back cabinet, red filing cabinet.